Indian resilience is always there. Indians are quite resilient people because of the obstacles they always face, and they overcome obstacles, and we continue to grow.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm your host, Prasad Patkar, editor of SMU Venture, leading B2B media for MSMEs, startups, digital natives, and enterprise IT. The Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will be presenting her fourth Union Budget on the 1st of February, when the Indian economy is on a revival path, as the GDP grew 8.4% in second quarter of first year 2022, after expanding 20.1% in the first quarter. So what can she do to accelerate growth in the shadow of newer COVID variants? Today, we are doing a special pre-budget feature with one of India's brightest economic minds to bounce off some ideas for budget 2022. Please welcome Mr. Juzar Khorakiwala, President of IMC.
Good afternoon, Prasad, and thank you, SME Ventures, for having me on this program.
Welcome, sir. It's a pleasure to have you. We're doing a special kind of a budget feature with you, and we would love to have some insights from you, whether it's related to MSME, startup, digital natives, or the economy in general. So, sir, let us start with obviously the budget expectations from 2022. If you could give us a few pointers as to what you expect, not just as an industry veteran, as an entrepreneur, but also as a layman, what do you see coming from the budget in 2022?
Yes. See, what comes to my mind, topmost in my mind, is of course the pandemic is a real overhang in terms of the economic performance of not only India but across the planet. Having said that, I think the implication of this is on India specifically is on the rural poor and on the urban poor. Recent data has shown that 20% of the population at the bottom of the pyramid are the worst affected, whose incomes have actually gone down in real terms, and 20% of the top people whose incomes have actually gone up. So the disparity between the top 20% of our society and the bottom 20% of our society has actually widened. Inequality has grown. Therefore, what it tells us basically is that if the bottom 20% whose incomes have declined, and that's only in rural areas, consumption has declined. We have seen the rural consumption also going down. And so the budget has to address this issue upfront to ensure that fiscal deficit is kept at the figure of 7% or 6.8%. I don't think is very realistic. We must, I think, we need to lose on our fiscal deficit, and government spending has to increase, and it has to be targeted to the poor. I mean, this is a very broad expectation I would expect from the budget, and this has implications for employment and unemployment and the rest of it.
Excellent, sir. You gave us the actual ground reality. What tends to happen when we speak about the expectations from budgets is, you know, all those jargons comes into the picture, but sometimes and often we tend to forget the basic realities as to you know, the inequality or the disparity between the rich and poor. So you have kind of given us, you have taken us back to our basics. Thank you for answering this question. Let me move on to the next question. This is with regards to IMC. What plans does IMC has for the economy, for the MSMEs in general? How would you want to convey the vision that or the key performing indicators that you want to keep in highlight for the year 2022 and for 2022 and beyond?
See, IMC being a 115-year-old institution, actually, which has a large membership base, and they are predominantly SMEs and MSME memberships. Apart from large companies, public limited companies, also our members. Our theme for this year has been to engage Maharashtra and build India. Now, why we chose this theme is that, you see, all MSMEs are affected, MSMEs and SMEs are affected by what happened at the state level and at the provincial level and at the municipal level. Yeah. Their touch points of doing business are at the state level. Central is too far away for MSMEs and SMEs, whichever state they are operating in. So the what we call ease of doing business or whatever it is impacted by what happens in the state. So while I'll give you an example in agriculture where I am involved in, there are issues which the policy directives comes from the center, that this is the take product registration, which is done by the center. This happens in pharma, FMCG, or in agriculture. But the real implementation takes place at the state level. State licenses are issued, state coordination is there, and that is where it gets into difficulty because of the center and state do not see eye to eye on many issues. And therefore, it becomes very difficult for SMEs and MSMEs to really navigate their day-to-day businesses. Large companies can do it, but small SMEs, they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have the personnel to handle all these touch points with the government. And of course, the center has said, okay, we need less governance in managing our businesses, but that's not the reality at the state level. So what IMC, when you ask what IMC is doing, is we have various events. MSME conference every year. We have a conference. We have a lot of training programs which go on various areas. So that is what IMC actually does with the SMEs and MSMEs who are our members.
Okay, sir. Pretty good of you to be very politically incorrect. Often there is a clash, or you could say a discrepancy between politics and economics. Things which are on paper find it tough to get turned or materialize into reality. This is where institutions like IMC come into the picture, because they have their ears to the ground and they know the nerves of the people. Thank you for elaborating on what IMC does for the MSMEs or is expected to do in the near future. Let us move forward and talk about Indian economy. I am sure that you have a lot of insights to dwell on and to reveal on what the outlook for the Indian economy could be, and what are the different steps or measures that can be taken in order to revitalize the industry or the Indian economy in general after the COVID shock.
See, the Indian economy, in my view, will continue to grow. It's a large economy, and as I've said earlier on some other occasions, it will continue to grow at a pace of about 7% GDP growth average, irrespective of the pandemic. This is my one view. Secondly is, you see, reforms are taking place in the economy. Various reforms have taken place across various sectors, but the trickle-down effect of the reforms is not yet to be seen. So what I often say is that the reforms takes place like a running deer who runs very fast at the central level, but when it trickles down to the bureaucracy, to the state levels, provincial levels, taluka levels, village levels, it becomes like an elephant. It doesn't move. You see, so this analogy I've always been giving, that decisions are taken like a racing deer, but it boils down to a walking elephant, and this elephant will grow at 7%. You know, it will continue to grow. see, we have a great democratic institution which keeps the whole country, which is so diverse, together. In spite of all our differences or whatever we may have, but it keeps the whole country together. So this is my and the more freer the economy is, the lesser the touch points of entrepreneurs with the government at various levels. At the better it is for the country, the faster it will grow. The more liberal the environment is to operate, and we have seen in many countries, the faster it grows. We must lose the mindset of controls.
Yes.
There is yet a mindset in the bureaucracy that everything needs to be controlled. And you see, in the economy, there are always people who will misuse the system, who will game the system. But that's a minority. So we frame laws for the minority and not for the majority who are actually, creating wealth for the country. All kinds of laws, if you see, the compliances you see are tailored towards controls. And if you can remove that and take the bold step of removing wherever it is there, sector by sector, industry by industry, region by region, it will certainly, India will see a different future.
Excellent, sir. I think you have touched upon various points: A, decentralization, freer and liberal economy, and there are still aspects, or you could call it as the hangover of the socialistic mindset that India had been harboring for so many years, which kind of got released in the 90s. But still, even though the values have turned to a more freer economy per se, but somewhere down the line, it has not seeped into the bureaucracy as such. So, yes, I mean, good to have a touch of positivity, but also a touch of reality with how the economy is going to move forward. Sir, you also are a business person. Besides being president of the IMC, what I mean, you have been carrying you have such a vast experience on your shoulder as to leading institutions and businesses. What would be that message you would want to give out to all the business fraternity, whether it's the MSMEs or the startup founders or entrepreneurs or the average taxpayer? Like, what would be your message to them?
See, I can only talk from my experience over the last almost 40 years in business, really, spanning in pharmaceuticals and now into agriculture in the last 20 years. We do operate in a difficult country. I'll be very honest and very frank. When we operate in Vietnam, we operate in Philippines. We know how easy it is to operate in other countries and how difficult it is to operate in India. And so when Indian businessmen go outside and do businesses, they find it very easy to do things. Yeah. In general, I'm talking very much in general. So one of the things the message I would give is that one important aspect that is often forgotten is management. See, small businesses, SMEs and small businesses, they need to be trained on the art of good management. Management is often forgotten. Managing finance, managing marketing, all these require management skills. Large companies have that by nature of them being large. So if you manage from a small enterprise, we were also a very small enterprise at one time. But I do believe that good management will take you to a different level. Consistent, sustainable, good management. See, this is an area which is often forgotten. We have finance problems, we have marketing problems. Why do these problems occur in the first place? Because there is something lacking. And this is what I call the soft part, which is management. Often good management is lacking and we run into all kinds of problems. And then we say, okay, we need subsidies, we need so many other things, and all kinds of things come up. So this is one area I feel that, good management is very, very key to running an enterprise, however small or big it is.
Yes, sir. I mean, like we stated at the beginning of the session that often in a quest for innovation and novel concepts, we tend to forget the basics. I mean, management is supposed to be like the kernel of how we manage businesses or how we manage our day-to-day lives. Uh, the government had rightly undertaken smart stimulus measures during the first wave and not frittered away its limited resources in propping the economy when the entire country was under a lockdown. However, with the lockdown behind us and apprehension amongst most households still high, the economy, like Mr. Khorakiwala said, needs real stimulus in 2022 and 2023. And I'm sure the measures outlined by Mr. Khorakiwala will be taken seriously and it will rev up the economic growth engine. Uh, Mr. Khorakiwala, before we leave, is there anything you wish to tell to our audiences?
Well, all that I would say is hopefully the pandemic will see its end this year, hopefully, unless we get a new mutant coming around. And I think Indian resilience is always there. Indians are quite resilient people because of the obstacles they always face, and they overcome obstacles. And we continue to grow. We have a good demographic potential in our country. So I think future is bright. Future is bright, and if we have a little more liberal in terms of compliances and a lot of other issues, I think India will go far ahead. This is my view.
Thank you, sir. We got a lot of insights, not just related to economy, but also how to run your daily life. I mean, management, decentralization, liberalization of economy, but also looking forward to a very positive outlook towards economy and life in general. It was great to have you, sir, today. We look forward to a stimulating budget. Hope a lot of things are taken in stride by the government and by the authorities. And we hope IMC as an institution does exceedingly well for the MSMEs in the upcoming future. It was great to have you, sir. Pleasure to have you. We will look forward to more such engaging interactions and sessions with you in the near future.
Thank you, Prasad, and thank you, SME Ventures, for having IMC on the show. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. A very happy new year and see you soon.
Thank you, and same to you.